everyone, Bob Scott here. In this video, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what a lease option is. This is the primary strategy we use here at Joint Ops Properties. And we've done a ton of regular rentals over the years, and lease options, in our opinion, are far and away superior. And I'm going to break that down for you and show you exactly why we think that and what our experience has yielded over the years. Okay, so first off, a quick definition of what a lease option is. Well, a lease option is when a tenant buyer rents from you, the landlord, until they can qualify to buy the house in the future. And they are going to agree to a purchase price at the beginning of the period, of the rental period. And we typically do anywhere between a 1 to a 2 year option, sometimes longer if the tenant buyer needs it. And during that time, they pay rent each and every month, just like a regular tenant. The key difference here is that we are getting a non-refundable option deposit up front when the tenant buyer moves in. This is not a security deposit. It is 100% non-refundable, and this is explained to the tenant buyer. And this deposit secures their right to the option to buy the property at some point in the future. It also acts as a down payment when they do buy the house, so that money is credited towards the purchase price when they execute the option. And all along, they're paying you monthly rent, and they're getting time to qualify. And they can execute that option at any point during the period. If they get their pre-qualification letter within 2 or 3 months and are ready to close, we can do that. So some other phrases in the industry for this strategy are lease to own, rent to own, or lease purchase. You might have heard those out there. And you're asking yourself, well, why would somebody do this? Well, the tenant buyer is getting time to qualify for a loan. They can customize and make improvements to the home. They have the pride of working towards ownership. They don't feel like second-class citizens anymore, and they know they're not going to be lifelong tenants. They know that their money's starting to work for them. They don't have to move twice. I mean, think about yourself. Every time you move, what a pain in the butt that is. So they can move in right away and know they can be settled and know they can be in this home long term. And if they have kids that are in school, they know they can be in the same school district, and they're not going to have to switch school districts, down the line 1, 2, 3 years later. They can also lock in the purchase price, and they do that at the beginning of the lease option when they sign all the paperwork. And that's locked in for 1, 2, 3 years, however long you decide. Like I said, we typically do 1 to 2 year terms. They can also build up rent credits during that time. It's really up to you how much you want to charge. We have some deals that don't have any rent credits, and some that have $300-400 a month rent credits. And another key thing here is they have the flexibility to walk away if need be. A lot of people aren't quite certain that they want to be homeowners. They want to test it out. But they also don't want to throw that money away on rent. And who knows, they might get a job transfer down the line, and a 30-year mortgage is a very big commitment for a lot of people. And so this is a nice intermediary where people can test the waters. They can see if they don't mind doing repairs and maintenance all along, and if it works for them. With lease options, you truly are filling a need in the marketplace. A lot of real estate investors will talk about targeting motivated sellers because you can buy properties at a discount. But what most people don't realize is there are also motivated buyers. You see, it's simply about supply and demand. Banks are still really tight with money since the subprime meltdown. And current estimates are that 80 to 90% of the buyer pool can't qualify for a traditional mortgage right now. And when I say buyer pool, I mean people who have down payment, stable income, and the desire to own a home. I consider all those people who fill those 3 tickets as the pool buyer. Now, a lot of people can be disqualified from getting a traditional bank loan for a number of reasons. One of the most common we see is credit issues. Any minor ticky-tack issue on a credit score, just a few minor ticky-tack issues on a credit report can really dramatically lower someone's credit score. If they miss a few credit card payments, a few car payments here and there, but for the most part have been pretty good, it can dramatically lower their score to a point where they no longer qualify with the bank. There's plenty of people who are self-employed, they're business owners, they're making really good money, but they don't have 2 years tax returns, so a bank won't touch them. A lot of folks are new to our area, or they're new on a job, and a bank won't talk to them until they have 6 months of pay stubs under their belt. So imagine someone's just moving to town, and they've got a great job lined up. They know they're going to be in St. Louis long term. They don't want them to have to move 6 months or a year down the line. And so they know with a rent to own, they can get into a house right away, and they can lock in that purchase price, get their kids into the right school district, and they know they can be there long term. And eventually, when they get their 6 months of pay stubs, or if they want to wait a little longer for whatever reason, they can execute on the sale down the line. And some other folks are contractors or seasonal workers, or maybe they're going to school right now. They're in between jobs and they've got some money saved up. There's all types of people who don't operate outside of the traditional system of what a bank will consider lendable. You'd be really surprised at how much money is out there floating around and is outside the system. And when you market your property on a rent-to-own, a lease option, you are targeting all of those people that nobody else is talking to. I mean, if you ask any traditional real estate agent, most real estate investors, and pretty much all traditional home sellers, they don't know what a lease option is. They don't understand it. They think it's scary and risky. So all those folks want to sell for cash right now. And if you can be flexible, if you can be the person that is going to have the right message to these to this large buyer pool, you're just going to own that market. So you are the 10% talking to the 80 to 90%. That's a good supply-demand situation to be in. And why is lease option better than a traditional rental? Well, our folks have ownership mentality. These are not like tenants. They've got skin in the game in the form of their option deposit. So there's less chance they're going to walk away, and there's more incentive to pay the rent every month because they've put up that option deposit. Typically for our market, our price range of properties, we're getting anywhere between $3,000 to $10,000 option deposit up front. That's a lot of incentive to pay the rent every month. Obviously, and that option deposit is a non-refundable. And that option deposit is non-refundable. It's not a security deposit. That's a key difference there. So that's an additional income stream that adds to our bottom line as investors each and every month. The other key thing here is we have the potential for above market rent. We will advertise minimums on our site, but if we have a property that has a lot of interest, which since we're putting ourselves in a great supply-demand scenario, we do. I mean, we have one property we just bought today where we've got 4 different applicants who are all vying for the property. And that gives us the chance as investors to go back and say, hey, look, we've got all this interest. And it creates a little bit of a bidding war, and you wouldn't get that from a traditional tenant. So some properties we can squeeze $200, $300, even $400 or $500 a month above what other landlords would get for the same type of property. And the other key thing here is that the tenant buyer is handling all ongoing repairs and maintenance. This is a real game changer here. If you are a traditional landlord, you understand how much of a pain in the butt ongoing repairs and maintenance can be. So there's no more calls in the middle of the night about leaky toilets or people who don't know how to flick a circuit breaker on or off. All those really minor ticky-tack things that can go wrong with properties can really drive you crazy, not just from a cash flow perspective of saving that money, but also saving the time. You're not getting that call. You're not having to coordinate with a contractor or handyman, send them out. I mean, even just to send a handyman out to a property to take a look and tell you what's wrong, at a minimum is typically $100. So you put all that money back in your pocket, and it just really streamlines the management process. So you can really scale quickly and build a big portfolio in a short amount of time. And with that being said, these things all add up to increasing your return on your investment on a property. We increase the revenue by getting the option deposit up front, the non-refundable option deposit up front, and we also have the potential to get above market rent. So our top line number increases, and now our expenses decrease because our tenant buyer is being responsible for all the repairs and maintenance. We've put ourselves in that great supply-demand scenario, so we have a ton of people knocking down our door. And that means we can fill properties quicker, and we can do it cheaper than most other management companies can and traditional landlords can. So all that adds up to having less vacancy and less turnover because our folks have so much skin in the game, and they know they're eventually going to buy down the line. So they don't want to walk away from that non-refundable option deposit. So all that adds up to increasing our return on investment on these properties. So that's it for today. Hopefully that gave you a rough overview of what a lease option is. We're going to dive down deeper into a lot of this stuff in further videos. If you'd like to reach out to us, email us at jointopsproperties@gmail.com. My business partner, Jimmy Vreeland's phone number is there, 799-2247. You can also find us on the web at jointopsproperties.com. And if you'd like to see some more specific examples of deals we're doing here in St. Louis and the properties we put together in our portfolio, you can go to jointopsproperties.com. If you'd like to learn how to be an investor yourself and do these deals for yourself in your own market, go to autopilotassets.com. Thanks and have a good one.